Hi everyone, Tasha here and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to create a 4th of July card using items from Maker Forte. Here's an example of the card we're going to be making today. It has a nice stamped background and it uses pretty pattern paper. The ink color we'll be using is from Color Hive and it's called Vegas Strip. And then the stamp set is from Maker Forte and it's called America the Beautiful. This one's great. It has a bunch of sentiments, including the large one we'll be using. In addition, I'll be using a greeting from the Maker Forte paper pack, and this one is double-sided. You can also use this paper with your foils because it has a toner on both sides. For the colors of paper, we'll be using gold glitter, red, white, and pattern paper. To begin, we're going to go over to the Misty tool and start our stamping. This one only has one stamp that we'll be using, and it's the larger sentiment stamp that has a whole bunch or a whole block of different sentiments and words that go with the 4th of July. So I'm just positioning this on a piece of white cardstock, making sure I have it nice and centered, and then I'm using my magnets just to kind of hold it in position. And this stamp set is great because you can make a bunch of these at one time since all of the words are already on one stamp. Now I'm going to go in with my Color Hive ink and I'm just going to position that paper back. I had to make sure it was in place before I started stamping. And for the Color Hive ink, this color is really nice and vibrant and it's the perfect shade of blue for an Independence Day card. Do you see how well that stamps? I did stamp it 2 times just to make sure it was nice and dark, and I used my Maker Forte smusher tool just to have even pressure. And I love this blue color. It's just a beautiful shade. Once I was done with the stamping, I took this little image over to a craft sheet and then I decided to add some Distress Oxide ink around the edges. I just thought that the background was too white for the theme of the card I was going for. I wanted a little bit more of a vintage look, and so I went in with Antique Linen Distress Oxide ink around the edges and a little bit just in the center. So I went around the edge with the ink color and then pulled it towards the center. I love how this just adds that little bit of a neutral color around those edges, a little bit of a darker shade, but it's still a white background. And do you see how pretty that looks with the blue? I love this shade of blue. Once I was done with that, it was time to cut my little greeting. And again, this slimline paper pack has so many choices for all types of holidays. It's year-round holidays. So you have spring holidays, you have summer holidays, you have Christmas holidays, and of course we have a nice selection of 4th of July greetings. I do like the white on the black background, and the one I chose was You Light Up My Life. I thought this greeting was so nice and I love the way it looks with that white lettering. It kind of has an embossed look. After I was done trimming it down to size, I layered on a piece of gold glitter paper for a nice frame around the greeting. I wanted some sparkle in my card. Once I glued the greeting right to the glitter paper, I just took it to my trimmer and trimmed down 2 sides. This is great to do with your scrap pieces of paper too, since you don't need that much, and this way you can add layers to your sentiment strips. I did decide to go in with a piece of red cardstock as well, just to coordinate with the colors I was using throughout the card, and I like the way it looks when you have a lot of layers. I did the same thing, lined it up along the bottom, and then just trimmed down 2 sides. After I was done with the little sentiment area, I went in and started attaching the layers for my main card. I'm using a piece of pattern paper, and this pattern paper was included in the June Hedgehog Hollow subscription kit. I'll leave a link to that site in the description box below. Every month there's a different theme, and in June it was a whole bunch of items for 4th of July and Independence Day cards. Then I went in and started to layer up my center design. So I put this on gold paper, the same that I used for the sentiment, and then I'm going to attach it to that same red cardstock. These cards are so quick and easy to make and layer since there's not a lot of like not a lot of measurements that you need to do. You just kind of have to make some squares and decide the width of your layers. So once I had all of the center card layers together, it was time to position it on the main card. So I just kind of lined it up as best as I could in the center, and then it was time to attach my greeting. I put it on my card, but I thought it just needed one more layer. So I used the scrap from that background paper and did the same thing that I did earlier. I lined it up on the bottom, and then I took it to my trimmer and trimmed down two sides. This way I still had plenty of paper left over if I wanted to make more cards or do the same thing on another Independence Day card. But it did add a little bit more color, a little more detail, and I do like how those stripes kind of pop in the background. And this way I can position it over the center, and it looks like it goes, because this way you can see most of the words. You're not covering up a whole bunch of words, just that center area, and then you get this nice greeting, "You light up my life." You could also do this with red ink in the background, or you could do a different variation. So you could have maybe black ink and then just do a lot of red and blue. I mean, you can really just do whatever you want to make a whole bunch of cards that look different. Now it's time to make a simple card base. I'm taking a piece of white cardstock from Maker Forte and using my bone folder just to make sure I have it nice and creased. Then I'm taking it over to my paper trimmer and I'm trimming it down to 5¼ by 5¼ Again, a nice simple cut. It's really great when you can make these types of cards that you don't need a scoreboard or a lot of measuring, and you can make these really quick. So then I'm just going to attach it, and I did make it 5¼ by 5¼ because I wanted a nice white frame around the card. It gives another layered look, and I love that white detail. So now I'm just going to try to measure it up as best as I can, just so that that white border is the same size all the way around. And what I do is I usually try to line up the top and then press down, and then just kind of line up the sides before I press down firmly. And here's my first example. So here's both of the cards I created. And it's neat because they use the same materials, but they do look different. And I think that these would also look great with red or the black ink. And again, here's some more pictures of my cards. All of the supplies I use will be in the description box below, as well as on my coordinating blog post. And I'll link to my video making these fun Let Freedom ring cards with the Hedgehog Hollows June subscription kit. I hope you enjoyed the project and are having a great day. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.